Hi everybody, I'm about to install a Carplay module into my wife's 2016 LR4, which is the same as a Discovery 4 in the UK. I bought this model over here, got it from Amazon for $350, and then I found this one over here from the manufacturer Auto ABC for $175, including shipping. So we're going to see if this one works for the $175 version, and if it does, I'll save myself $175, so we'll find out. Here's the tools I'll be using. To the left hand side is a trim removal kit. It was about $10 for Amazon, and I'll post that. Much better than using any screwdrivers or flathead screwdrivers. Really reduces the chance of scratching anything, especially when you're working with trim or you're working with the screen that we're about to take apart as well. Over on the right hand side, we've got a Torx screwdriver and a flathead screwdriver. These should be all the tools that we need to be able to get our job done. So looking forward to getting started. One more thing, over here we have all the cables that came in the box. It looks a little complicated. Some of these cables may not be needed, so I'm going to take a look at that too as we go through. There seems to be one for an auxiliary camera, and we've already got a camera built into the unit that we have today, so I'm not sure we're using that, but it's there if we need it. We're now inside my wife's LR4, and as you can see, everything looks pristine, so I'm going to try and not ruin any of this or mess it up. Already got those instructions from my wife to make sure I put everything back neatly and try and have no rattles once it goes back. So to start with, we're going to be removing this little section up here, little wood panel. We're going to remove the controls for the radio, including the clock. This little section here will come out. We'll also be removing these side panels. I think the side panels come off first actually before the clock section. Once all that is done, we then remove the controls for the heater. This section will come straight out. And at that point, we should be able to get behind the screen and take out the cables that we need to replace. So we are going to go ahead and do this. I am going to try my best not to make any mistakes. And there are, I think, about 10 or 12 screws that are going to have to come off as well. Actually, good point in the screws. There are 2 screws that are hidden here under the ashtray. So the ashtray will have to come out as well. So I will go through this in detail and let you know how it goes. The very first step is to remove the small wooden panel up here by the screen. Got to be very careful not to get the screen damaged or scratched. So here's one of the tools that I use that came in my toolkit. It's just a very small, very thin ended that can can be used to leverage this out. So basically give a little bit of pressure and this will come straight out. Underneath here, there's 2 screws. They use a Torx style screwdriver, which is the one with the end. It's kind of a star end on it, is another way to describe it. And basically take out the 2 screws. They're up here. Fairly easy to do. One either side, as you'd expect. Once I get those screws out, I should be able to remove the face off the analog clock and the controls for the existing radio. So in theory, this section here should pull out. It's coming loose now. Just want to make sure I don't break anything while I'm doing this. So there's the trim piece that's coming out now. So I've just removed the trim piece. And that includes these 2 little things that cover up the buttons for the on-off on the radio and also in the mode section of the radio. So I'm going to put those aside as well. And we'll look a little closer at what we have to do next. So it's actually a little difficult to remove this, but the best way is to get my fingers over the top here and then just pull forward like that. Then at the back of this section, there are 2 cables that need to come out. That's one of them. And the second cable is for the clock. And I'll just try and get that out as well. A little bit of wiggling there, but that's it. So that's the center piece that came out. You can also try and get it out with this still on it, which makes more sense. So I took it out in 2 separate pieces, but it can come out with basically as one piece. So I'm going to put this aside as well. I'm going to try and keep everything in one place close to where I took it from, so it's easy for me to put it back together. I usually keep my screws in the same place as well wherever I can. So these little screws are going into the little tray over here. So I'll keep all the screws in there. I've been told that the screws are all the same for this whole assembly. So if that's the case, then I don't have to keep them separated. So I'm going to keep all the screws together in one place. Next up is to remove these two side panels, and that will give us access to the rest of the console. Okay, so this piece did take a little bit of manhandling to get it out. First what I did was lower the glove box, the top glove box, get my tool, put it behind here, and just give it a quick yank like that, and then use my hands to pull the rest of it out. There's no cables on this side, so that was easy. On the other side there is a cable that connects the start-stop switch, so I'm going to take this section out carefully and undo the cable at the back of this. I have seen some videos where people take out the button first and then take the unit out, but I'm going to try and take the unit out with the button still on and unattach the cable from the back. So it did take a little bit of leverage to get this off, but everything seems to be fine. It will go back in again. This is a section that I just pulled off from the driver's side. As you can see and mentioned earlier, that has this section here that goes up by the steering wheel. Originally I thought that that was two separate pieces, but it's actually one. It comes off as one piece. So now we've got most of the dash pieces off. You can see what we're left with. We have some screws. Again, I think there's about 12 total. Here, 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 over here, another one over here, and there's two underneath that I need to get to. So I've got to be able to get this off, which is the ashtray, get that taken out completely, and then we'll also be able to get this section off here, which is the AC controls. So get that out as well. I'm not sure what we'll see after that, but I need to get into the wiring harness for the radio. So that's what I'm trying to do here, is get this unit out and get behind it so I can get to the wiring harness of the radio. I think I have to take the screen off as well, but we'll get to that in a few minutes. So I just took the ashtray out, and there's two additional screws that you can see just in here. There's one. There's another one on the other side over here. So hopefully you can see this. If not, it's actually right next to it. So I'm going to push this back in, and you can still see them over there. So I'm going to take those out. I didn't have to take the whole ashtray out. That was an important part. All I had to take out for the ashtray was a little ashtray cover, a little piece in the front. And once I took that out, I can now see the two screws that are in here. So originally I was trying to remove this whole section, which you don't have to do. You can see the screws are actually either side once you take off the little ashtray cover. So I'm going to go ahead and take those screws out. As you can see, again, it's right here and right over here. And once I do that, I should be able to pull this little unit out, the AC unit, and see what we've got back there. So another piece that was a little tricky was getting this out. This is the AC unit. And then it was okay. It was just really stiff. There's a couple of clips at the bottom here that took a little wiggling. Then just had to pull it up, and then it kind of sprung up and the clips came off nicely. So that's that out. There are two cables at the back of this. One is this little red one that has a piece here that you have to push in to get it to release, a little clip. And this other one over here, which just came straight out, so no problems with that. Actually, doesn't look like I even need to take that one out, so I'm going to put that one back in again. So that one I'm not sure why, but it doesn't seem like it needs to come out. So that is the AC module removed, so fairly simple. But it was a little stiff to pull it out. I had to kind of like give it a little pull that felt like it was beyond what I should, but it did come out fairly easily after that. So I've decided I'm actually going to take the screen off to see if I can get a little bit more movement behind here and get to the cable harness that way. So I'm looking for the harness for the screen, which should be behind the screen. So I'm going to take the screen out. It looks fairly simple. I can see a couple of screws at the front. There may be something back here as well. So I'm going to figure that out and show you what I did to remove the screen. After that screen's out, there should be a wiring harness at the back that I'm hoping I'll be able to connect my Carplay module to. I'm also looking to see if there's room back here, which it feels like there is, to basically tuck the Carplay module back in here to save me having to route it somewhere else into the console or anywhere else. So I'm hoping there's enough room back here. If there's not, we're going to have to take out the center console and find a place to put it within the center console, which I'd rather not do. So let's get moving. So I have actually located the other screws. It was a little hard to see. The light's not that great in my garage. So there's a screw over here, right next to the top of the console. There's another screw over here at the top of the console. So once you get those two screws out, one screw over here at the top of the console and one screw over here at the top of the console, I should then be able to get that screen out and take a look at what's behind it. Right. I've pulled the screen forward so I can see now what's behind it. So I'll take a little video of that in a minute. Looks like there should be room to put the CarPlay device in there, so I'm going to take a little quick look at that and do a little dry fit to see if the CarPlay device will fit behind here with the screen back on. So we'll do that in a few minutes, but right now I've got the screen forward. I'm going to attach some of these cables at the back and we'll get back to you in a second. I've got the screen off now. It wasn't too difficult. There was a half a dozen or so connections at the back that had to come out, so that's out now. We put the screen safely away somewhere so we don't get it scratched up, but that is the screen out. There's also a bezel that was over the screen, which I don't think you had to take off. I just took it off as I was pulling it, kind of came off. But I don't think you have to take that bezel off to get the screen out. So again, I'm going to put this away safely until I can figure out what all the cables are back here and how to wire up the CarPlay device. So I'm not sure if I showed you this before, I think I did on the table. But here's the little CarPlay device. We're going to try and see if we can get it fitting back in here somewhere. If we can't get it fitted back here, then we're going to have to put it into the dash of the console or potentially in the glove box over here. So we'll figure that in a few minutes, but I'm going to put the screen away carefully so that nothing happens to it in the meantime. So this is going to be a little hard to see, but it's a little tricky back here. I did have to take this out, and I plugged the other side of this, which came with a long cable. And we plugged that into the back of the radio piece, not the display, but the radio piece back here. And this extends it out so I can get this cable powered up and ready to go. So this is the one that's going to go in the back of the display, and this one here is a little power cable that's going to the back of the little box. So that's going to go into that area there where it says power. So I think we're in pretty good shape. We're going to get it all set back together again and give it a dry run before we put all the screws back in. So let's get going. Alright, so we are almost finished. I've got the screen covered here so it doesn't get damaged. We've tested everything out, all works fine, works really good. This gets pushed up back here. We found a little area for it. The cables are really long because I think they want you to put it over here on the console. So we decided not to do that, and my son found a little cubby right back here where it can actually be pushed up right up into there, and it works fine. I'm also going to make sure the cables are all pushed back in there, and we're about to put everything back together. We did try it out, everything worked well. Most of the pieces went back as I expected. All looks good, except the two side pieces that have the vents on them. Cannot figure out how to get these in properly. So I read a little bit about it today, and there was a recommendation to move the console back, the center console over here. So I'm going to try and do that. So the issue is that these pieces here are meant to be flush, and they're obviously not. And also, if you look up here, there is too much of a gap between here and here, so I can't get the bezel piece back on. Same down here, just a little bit too tight. You can see a little bit too far apart here. So basically what we're going to try and do is move the center console back and see if that gives enough room to snap in the side pieces with the vents. So we're going to do that now. Basically remove the cup holders here and here. And this whole centerpiece does lift up. I might have to get my tools out to do it. Just the trim removal tool. So I think I'm going to have to go and do that. Once you get this removed, there's a screw either side, and there's a little tray. It's like a little drip tray thing that has to come out as well. I'll take a picture of that in a few minutes. Okay, I've removed the drink holder. That's this piece here. That is out. You can see the little drip pan here, little drip tray thing. It's got two screws on it. It just takes a regular Phillips screwdriver. So I'm going to take that out. Once I got that out, I'm going to try and move this console back just by half an inch or so. And that should give me enough room, basically, to put these pieces in properly and close these gaps that I can see over here. That's everything put back together. CarPlay works, and I'm going to give you a demo of that in a few minutes on how to set it up. Just now, I just want to point out one thing. These side panels are the vents, very difficult to remove and very difficult to put back in. what I ended up doing was taking out this center console here. Very easy to do. Take out the cup holders. There is a screw either side. Take those screws off. Once you get the cup holders out, there's a little drip tray. Remove that and simply pull up here and here, and the console will come out. Don't take off any of the wires, just move it forward, and that will give you enough room to be able to get back into these panels here and get them back into place. So much easier. As you can see, everything looks good now. Got the dash back together, the screen's back together. Looks great.